Hi, hope you enjoy my game. It's based on two-player Space Invaders game. The objective is to kill all invaders and to score more than the other player. To try and make it harder, I have set it up so both players must be within a certain distance of each other to shoot. To start the game, you need to press the play button on the screen or press the enter key on the keyboard. I've multiple collision detections between invader left, invader right, player left and player right for both players. I've also got collision detection for bullet and invader, and player and invader's bullets, and also invader and player and invader and bot. I display the scoreboard at the top of the screen. I record the number of kills by each player, the score for each player, the number of bullets fired for each player, and the actual player's health. The player's health is reduced when it's hit by a invader bullet or it's actually hit by the invader itself. To show my high scoreboard working, I'm going to score between 560 and 730 and put a new high score in the 4th position. As you can see at the top of the screen, player 2 has 650 points, and when I type in 4th in here as the player name, it places him in 4th position. Now I'm going to actually show you with a high score to get the top position of 1570. When I type in top here, the top player should be top. I've set it up so that the high score alert can actually type in and delete characters in case a user enters the wrong character. I'm just going to have a quick walk through the game without all the jumping back and forwards, describing all the different features. So I'm just going to have the two players shoot all the invaders. As you can see that the player 2 bullets, kills, score are all going up, same as player 1. If they move away from each other, they can't shoot. Their health is gone down after they got hit, and all the invaders disappear. And I can type in the name at the end. I have 6 different classes set up. There's a bullet, invader, player, scenery, text and timer. The 3 main ones will be the bullet and the invader and the player. I have, in all my classes, I've set the fields to private. I've set default constructors and I've all overloaded different constructors. I have private methods, helper methods for all of them. I've set up setter methods and getters for each field that I need to return and edit. On line 64 of my bullet class, you can see that I have a remove bullet helper method. Basically what this helper method does is it sets the X and the Y coordinate of the bullet and stops the bullet moving. There's no values passed in and there's no values returned. Same on line 71, it's a stop bullet, and basically what it does is it actually just stops the bullet. There's nothing passed in and nothing returned. To demonstrate overloading helper method, I did it in my bullet class with the change bullet stroke on line 75 and it's overloaded on line 86. Basically I don't pass anything into the first default helper method, where I passed in, or I set enable stroke to 0, and basically what it does is it turns on no stroke. Whereas in the overloaded one I pass in a int value of enable, and then if this value is 3, I reset the enable stroke to 3, and therefore a stroke of 0 and a stroke weight are set. In the player class on line 152, you have an example of passing in a value and not actually returning anything. Same with line 160, 165, 171. 140 is actually an example of not passing in anything and returning true or false, a boolean. On line 14 to 17, you can see where I actually use my classes. I declare my objects, my player, my bullets, my invaders and my invader bullets. On line 621, I initialized player 1. On 623, I initialized player 2. On 648, I initialized my first bullets, and on 651, I initialized my second bullets. On line 633, I initialized my invaders, and on line 664, I initialized my invader bullets. On line 100, I call my default constructor for the scenery, where I've hard coded in the actual color. Then on 186, you can see there's an example of using the overloaded constructor, which actually passes in the color I want to set it to. There's the overloaded constructor, and there's the hard coded default constructor. On line 168, you can see I'm using my getters to get player 1's X coordinate and player 1's Y coordinate and player 2's X and Y coordinates. And what I'm doing is checking the distance between the two players, player 2 objects. And based on that, I change the color in the background, or I let the player shoot. On 174, you can see I actually set the player allowed to shoot to true. On 181, I set the player allowed to shoot to false. This demonstrates I'm using my getters and setters. On line 15, I create a multi-dimensional object array of type bullets. I'm having 2 in the first part of the array and a 10,000 in the second. So that basically is 2 is going to be 0 or 1, and it's going to be player 1 or player 2 bullets, and it's going to be a total of 10,000 bullets that are allowed use. The bullets don't actually get displayed until the actual player would click the shoot arrow. It's the W or the up, depending on which player it is. And on 680 or 648, sorry, I then use a nested for loop to loop through each of the bullets and initialize them. The bullets don't actually get displayed until the user presses the shoot buttons. For section F2, I want to demonstrate my array basically of high scores. Basically what I do is I call this add new score function, and what happens is I pass in the new high score and the new name, and I assign it to the last element of the array and of both arrays, and then I run it through a for loop which actually sorts out the points and puts the highest first. I'm using this index array -1, so what actually does happen is while it's going through the for loop is one value is dropped off the array each time as it goes the whole way through it, and it rebuilds the array back to the original. So basically the last value in the array would drop off, and the new value we're adding in actually gets put onto the list if it's higher. So that's my game. I'm finished this video now, and just so you know, I hate making videos. It took me hours upon hours to try put all the video clips together. So alright,